This is the
Welcome to Raw is Jericho.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Listen up, you blind slapnut.
If I can be serious for a minute.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.
The real reason I came here tonight is because we are live!
We Flex are NXT.
It's your time, folks!
A little bit of the bubbly.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all the ages, we are back for another edition of the Wrestling Week in Review show, live on Facebook, live on Twitter, and live on YouTube. And wait a minute. Ducks. I'm still in hockey mode over here. Let me change that for, the second. Because, yes, NHL's kicking off, the season's kicking off right now. And, of course, I'm still wanting to get into hockey mode. But we're not talking about hockey. We're talking about wrestling on this show. And, boy, we got some stuff we got to talk about. Because it is Thursday, that means it's time for the Wrestling Week in Review show here on the Flex Network. So glad you guys can join in for the fun that we gonna have today. Of course, we had Raw, we had SmackDown, we had NXT, we had AEW Dynamite. NXT had the beginnings of the Dusty Cup this week. AEW had night 2 of their New Year's Smash. And we had a very, very long Raw. Let's just go with that. It was a very match-heavy Raw, while SmackDown didn't even break 5 matches on the show. But that doesn't still mean that we can't talk about what went down. We can't talk about an idea what's been going on in the world of wrestling here. But before we get too far, we got to get into the news report before we talk about what's been going on the TV. So let's just transition on over to the news report for the week. Only a few things before we dive right into the week in general. I don't know why I had that, but let's just bring that back up. News report. On Raw, if you've been noticing a absence of a certain member of the New Day by the name of Kofi Kingston, he has been MIA because he is dealing with a legitimate jaw injury. Thinking it might be from TLC when he lost some teeth, I guess. But yeah, he is dealing with a jaw injury right now. So he's talking out the side of his mouth right now. But I hope he gets healed up soon, because we got Rumble coming up in less than 16 days. Yeah, 16 days 17 days. We are 17 days out from the Rumble. The end of the month, January 31st. That is going to be a blast for everybody, because Rumble season is the start of WrestleMania season, and that is always a fun time. Other quick little news. Matt and Rebby Hardy are going to be having another baby, a 4th child. Congratulations to the Matt Hardy, to Rebby. their new soon-to-be addition. And it will be their first girl. They announced on Friday. Well, Matt Hardy announced on Friday, and they found out together what the gender was, and it's going to be a girl. So congratulations to the Matt Hardy clan on another addition to the family. WWE is going to be having a special show for India audience. For their India audience, it will be on January 26th. It will be on their Republic Day, so it'll be on Tuesday of this month, the last Tuesday of the month. It will be only for the Indian crowd, as it will be a superstar spectacular with Indian wrestlers on their show, appearances in their show. They're going to try to do a tape in one day kind of edit so that they can get that ready for the 26th. So that should be very interesting for them over there in India to have something cool for them to check out. Impact Wrestling is making an announcer change for this coming week for Saturday night's Hard to Kill show. Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown will be taking over for Josh Matthews and Madison Rayne. Josh is moving to a behind-the-scenes producer role, and Madison Rayne is going to be heading out the door for wrestling. She's going to be doing getting her career outside of wrestling started, so she's leaving the industry. And yeah, they're going to get a new announcing crew starting this Saturday, which should be fun. Of course, I kind of enjoy a lot. I really enjoy Matt Striker's commentary, especially when he was in Lucha Underground. It was awesome. The action there was freaking unbelievable. And should be very interesting to hear what D'Lo Brown is going to be like with the commentary. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, he did do some Sunday Night Heat near the end of the Sunday Night Heat run in the late 2000s, I want to say, but I'm not 100% sure. But it should be fun to check out this Saturday for their Hard to Kill pay-per-view. And then last but not least, Mick Foley updated us with his COVID condition. And this is a quote that he posted on Twitter. Many of you have been asking how I'm feeling after my positive COVID test and all. Not too bad. I get fatigued very easily, and my head still feels a little cloudy. Please take this pandemic seriously. The daily death count is staggeringly high and climbing. So it does seem like he is hanging in there. He's doing okay. Just has, very fatigued and has, headache or probably just very bad headaches, with the cloudiness and everything. But he's been in isolation for over a month since December 12th, when he had a virtual autograph signing. He met a couple people in an isolated room for this autograph session, and apparently one of them was later tested positive for the virus, and it just obviously went to Mick Foley. So yeah, it sucks that Mick Foley got COVID, and now he's having to deal with this. But so this is just another indication of, like, guys, if you don't have to go anywhere, if it's not of a majorly importance, if it's not to go to the grocery store, if it's not to go to get essentials, just stay home. Or if it's not to go to work, stay home. Wait until we get the vaccines and everything out there. That is just my thought with because of McFoley getting the COVID now. And obviously now Drew McIntyre has been tested positive with COVID. So he's now in isolation, which is why we saw him on Monday Night Raw via satellite. So again, just take this whole thing seriously, guys. But other than that, that is the news report for the week. Let's get into some recaps. Let's get into what went down over the week. SmackDown. Let's talk some blue brand action. I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. I think I've said this multiple times on past shows, but the quality of SmackDown's raw action on TV compared to Raw, and I'm gonna get into Raw in just a little bit, because Raw had 11 matches on the night compared to this past Friday's SmackDown's 3. An Intercontinental Championship match, a tag team title match, and then a gauntlet match for the number 1 contender spot at Royal Rumble. Now, I know I keep saying, SmackDown needs to get more matches. You got people on the roster. Yes, it's a 2-hour show. But I feel like when they do it right and they have these matches, if it's for the Intercontinental Championship, if it's for the WWE Universal title, if it's for the tag titles, for the women's tag team title match, if it's for the SmackDown women's title match, and they make it so it's a great match on the show, I'm okay with, maybe having not as many matches as Raw. Maybe if Raw was having like a 6 or 7 night match over the, coming up or on the previous show, and SmackDown had a 3 or 4. I'm okay with, the quality of the content rather than the quantity. Because Raw this week, and again, going to talk Raw in a little bit, had 11 matches. And I would say if you took out Triple H versus Orton, you got it down to 10. If you take out Lashley, Riddle, and then MVP, that's 2 more matches right there. We're down to 8 matches. Nope. Yeah, 8 matches. You're down to 8 matches for the night. I'm okay with that. Because actually, and even the Keith Lee and Sheamus matches, that's another 2. So you're down to 6 right there. You're down to 6 matches on the card for the night. Because you're having Keith Lee, Sheamus do double duty. You're having Riddle do double duty. And then a Triple H, Randy Orton, it didn't do really that much to a point, except, maybe enhance with what's going on with the Fiend and everything. But again, SmackDown, on the other hand, this week had 3 matches. Intercontinental title up for grabs, tag team titles up for grabs, the SmackDown tag titles, and then an opportunity to name a number 1 contender for the Royal Rumble for the Universal title. And it was a great night on SmackDown. But I feel like if you're going to have just 3 matches and it's all going to be the guys, I feel like you need to throw in the women a match in between. Yes, the Gauntlet match, you had Shinsuke, Daniel, Sammy, King Corbin, Rey Mysterio, and then surprisingly, or not really surprisingly, but trying to figure out why you're putting in Adam Pearce. Now I'm going to talk about him in a little bit, but I like the Gauntlet match idea because you're going to name a number 1 contender for Roman Reigns. I like the idea of Big E and Apollo Crews going at it for the Intercontinental Championship. It was a good match. And then the tag titles, Roode and Ziggler taking on the Profits. That was a great match. But for 3 matches, I feel like you could have added a 4th and gotten away with maybe Bailey versus Bianca, just to see just something there to where it's a one-on-one match, whether it be a 10-minute match, and then something to keep something going through the Royal Rumble, up until Royal Rumble, to where they get into the Women's Royal Rumble match and build on that for future reference. Or even a Sasha Banks, something with her to have a match. But while the 3 matches on SmackDown were great, and then the Raw matches on this past Monday were decent at best, it just shows the difference between SmackDown and Raw. Well, Raw is obviously they're kicking butt on the quantity of the matches, of having this past week 11 matches in 3 hours. It's just not in the realm of quality, to say the least. And actually, I'll even add another 2 matches you could have taken out. You could have taken out Jackson Ryder, Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy versus Elias. Jeff Hardy did another double duty. And it just shows. I'm going to talk Raw in a few minutes. But let's get into SmackDown. As Big E and Apollo Crews went out for the Intercontinental Championship. Great matchup right there. Big E retains the IC title. And I feel like with Apollo Crews, this is probably going to set him up for a switch. After talk with Paul Heyman on a Talking Smack, should be very interesting to see what happens with Apollo Crews after the year he's had with going up against the Hurt Business, and then with everything with Retribution and Ali. Yeah, it's just a very interesting dynamic for him, if this is going to be the turning point for him to switch. Tag titles up for grabs. The men's SmackDown tag team titles up for grabs. The Profits defending against Rude and Ziggler. Now, this was a great match for the pure fact that the Street Profits have been literally rolling since they got the SmackDown tag team titles. And now they have actual challengers with Rude and Ziggler. As the SmackDown tag division has not really been up there, truth be told. Besides Cesaro and Shinsuke, which I think that was already running its course, unfortunately, because you could have, realistically, you could have had even a chance with adding Sheamus in. If Sheamus was still on SmackDown, you could have had Sheamus, Cesaro, and Shinsuke. And that would have been a great trio right there. You had the Bar and Shinsuke. That would have been great. But of course, Sheamus is on Raw. And now Sheamus has been doing a little bit better on the Raw side. And Cesaro and Shinsuke, I don't know what the situation, I can't really tell with those two if they're still in the real mix for the tag titles, as it's been more focused on Profits and Rude and Ziggler at this moment. But Rude Ziggler finally got it done after weeks of perseverance and just grit of not even, I don't even know why I use perseverance and grit. It's just more like persistence of trying to prove that they're not jokes and that Profits were the jokes, that they should be the tag team champions from back at the draft. But Rude and Ziggler are your new SmackDown tag team champions of the world. Ending the Profits' first run as SmackDown tag team champs. And then, of course, we had the big Gauntlet match. The big 8-man Gauntlet match, which surprisingly, we had Shinsuke, we had Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, King Corbin, Rey Mysterio, and Adam Pearce. Now, I'm going to break down the whole Gauntlet situation here. Daniel Bryan. I would think that I thought he was going to be one of the finalists. He's going to make it to the end. But this is his last full-time run as a full-time roster superstar before he transitions into being part-time with being more dad and being at home with, the 2 kids now and with Bree. So I mean, there's been hints of a Roman versus Daniel Bryan situation. Thinking that this was going to happen for Royal Rumble, it would have been a good idea. Especially with Daniel Bryan's history with Jey Uso in recent months. That could have played into a factor, but we didn't get that. So, taking Daniel Bryan out of the mix. Sami Zayn. I got nothing but I have nothing but just no interest words with him right now because he's on this crusade of proving that WWE is out to conspire against him, from losing the Intercontinental Championship and having his own film crew and then getting distracted and then just boom, pinned right there. It's like, what? That was bull. I should have won. You're blind. It's like, it's just, I've lost real interest in Sami Zayn when he came back and he was trying to prove the true Intercontinental Championship. I thought maybe him going away for a little bit would be like, okay, it's a reset for me. And then when he came back, it was a slow transition out of the Great Liberator, maybe for me. But I feel like it's now a transition from the Great Liberator to now the Great Conspiracy Man angle, which I've lost interest with him. It's great that they got the Intercontinental title off of him. And unfortunately for him, it's going to suffer for him. King Corbin, of course, I didn't really think he was going to make it through to the Gauntlet, all the way through, because you got Roman Reigns and King Corbin again. A year later, another match from last year's Royal Rumble with the Falls Count Anywhere street fight. I want to say it was, if I remember, but I think it was Falls Count Anywhere. Roman versus Corbin. And I wouldn't have been interested at all, no matter what would have happened. I would have been pulling for Roman Reigns to just destroy King Corbin if that was to happen. Rey Mysterio trying to get himself founded in this new SmackDown area, without Seth Rollins there, has been kind of hard. I mean, it's been great. Realistically, it's been great for the fans to be finally done with the Seth versus Rey saga that took up almost a year. But now, what is there for Rey Mysterio to do? And even with Where's the Sun to be doing it, whoop. And of course, yeah, Zayn is a putz. It's like, yeah, Sami Zayn's a putz, but it's just lost touch with him, and he's just now on this cuckoo conspiracy running wild type stuff, and it's just there's no interest in him right now. So the only people realistically left in the Gauntlet match I feel like would have had a real shot, we had, of course, Shinsuke Nakamura, and with, I don't know, again, with the idea of the tag team of Cesaro and Shinsuke still going, if there's still going to be a threat in the tag team division. And it's just a big question mark for Shinsuke of where is he at in this whole picture for, is he going for under the Universal title? Is he waiting for something or whatnot? And then, of course, the mystery, which, of course, was going to be a surprise of Adam Pearce, the person running both shows at this point as an executive for WWE. Now, contrary to belief, Adam Pearce can wrestle. He is a former 5-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And in this generation of NWA, he's 5-time world champ, NWA British Commonwealth Heavyweight Champion, and NWA Hall of Famer in the class of 2015. So those are just some of his credentials, but he has been an on the independent scene wrestling. He even went to Ring of Honor. He's been around the world. He is a wrestler. And now being put into the situation of facing Roman Reigns, and because he won the Gauntlet match thanks to Jay and Roman for knocking and kicking the crud out of Shinsuke, the last person in the Gauntlet before Adam Pearce was introduced. And they super kicked Adam Pearce and knocked him out and pulled him over Shinsuke to end the match. It was a real shock, to say the least, that Adam Pearce is going to be put in the Universal title match. But again, seeing his credentials, but with everything, him being supposed to be the man in charge as the representative for management for both Raw, SmackDown, it kind of made the most sense, to say the least, to face off against Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. I don't know where they're going to go from here. And probably Roman just beats Adam Pearce, or Adam Pearce sets up for a switch at Rumble or before the Rumble, to where I've been in talks with WWE management. They don't want me to be in the title picture or to have this opportunity, so I'm going to name you a new challenger, and it's going to be somebody we haven't probably seen for a while, and it's just going to be a good switch at Royal Rumble. So that is with my thoughts in the SmackDown world. Thoughts on Murphy and Dominic as tag team partners. That one, everything with the Mysterio clan right now with Dominic and Murphy as tag team partners, it could work. It could very well work. Given enough time, and granted, unfortunately, with SmackDown not being as heavy in the tag division as one may think. I mean, I would say there's at least 4 tag teams on SmackDown, with the tag champs right now being Dolph and Robert Roode going ahead as the new tag team champions. You got the Street Profits sitting right back at number 2. Depending on what's going on with Shinsuke and Cesaro, if they're still going to be in the mix, so I would consider them a tag team still. So 3, you got Dominic and Murphy right there as the 4th tag team. And to be honest, I feel like there needs to be more tag teams on SmackDown for them to really have a good chance of gelling, because the throwing together of just random people and trying to build up Murphy and Dominic as a tag team is going to be very not believable, to say the least, if that was the case. Now, if it was a Murphy and Dominic going up against Shinsuke and Cesaro, they had a series, to prove number 1 contenders, along with the Street Profits, and they were like a series, and these guys were winning constantly. I could believe that, and they could probably make a good run as to go up against Roode and Ziggler. But need to see more of that from those two before I can put them in the tag team title picture. But yeah, that's going to be it for SmackDown for the week. We do know that tomorrow night on SmackDown, Pearce and Roman are going to be signing their WWE title match or Universal title match at the Royal Rumble tomorrow night on SmackDown. So let's head on over to that Monday Night Raw. Talk some Monday Night Raw with you guys. There we go. Like I said in my little rant before, we had 11 matches on the show this past week. 3 hours, 11 matches. And yeah, a lot of stuff here to go over, and let's really get into it. Lacey Evans taking on Charlotte Flair. Good God, where do I go with this one? This is one of those things where you'd be like, Ric Flair getting involved, last week. It was, I would say, inadvertent to a degree. And then, Charlotte sending him off in a, huff and puff after the match, like, leave now, I am pissed off at you, and I need you to leave my sight before I chop you. But now that we've had a week to think about it and see about it, and then after the events on Raw with, Lacey, I would say, paying more attention to Rick and Charlotte losing her focus this week and wanting to, prove that last week was just a fluke, one-on-one match, and even saying that, Charlotte beforehand saying that Rick's not here during the middle of the match. It's like we hear the woo. Wait, I can't do it justice, because this is how you do it. When you hear that woo coming down, it's like, oh, I guess he is here. So now we get Rick coming down, and it's like, okay, awkward, but all right. Ric Flair, we're seeing him, watching the match, chilling out at ringside, and then Lacey's, getting into Charlotte's head with, flirting with, Dad and H. And shockingly and surprisingly, we get a legitimate Rick helping Lacey by putting her foot on the rope after natural selection from Charlotte. And like legitimately a blatant, like, I'm choosing to help Lacey, not by accident, but intentionally. I'm doing it. And it's like, what are you doing, Rick? You do realize she's fighting your daughter, right? Blood. And then Charlotte's setting up for an from outside into inside suplex. Rick gets her over the ropes. Rick grabs the legs, falls down. We get the pin, and it's like, what in the blue hell are you doing? Like, what the what? Are you kidding me? Interesting, but what? So I don't know what is going on with the Lacey Evans and Ric Flair and Charlotte. I don't know what's going on. I got nothing for it, because everyone knows. Here's the brains behind all this. Everyone knows Ric Flair's married. It's not like it's all hidden and everything. We know he's married. He's happily married because he posts stuff on Twitter and his wife and everything. Bar none. So I don't understand, the thought process of Lacey trying to be smitten with Ric Flair. I mean, I can understand if it was to just get under the skin of Charlotte Flair. I can understand that. Which it is. Totally is. Throwing her off her game. But I really don't know where this is going to lead to in the end. If this is going to lead to something at the Rumble, I hope it doesn't lead into the Rumble where Lacey throws out Charlotte and she wins the Royal Rumble. I will be shocked if I called that right. And I will be dumbfounded. But again, don't know what's going to happen with these two. Moving on. Get a little water in me because after all, just talking about Lacey and the Flairs is like, wow. All right, so one of our double wrestlers doing double duty for the night. We had Jackson Ryder taking on Jeff Hardy. Riker gets the victory over Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy challenges immediately following for Elias. He accepts. We get a match out of that. Jeff Hardy wins. So I'm still struggling with trying to get Jeff Hardy and Elias because granted with everything from SmackDown last year, the hit and run during the Jeff Hardy Sheamus angle. Don't really care much about that. Keith Lee, Sheamus taking on Miz and Morrison in tag team action. We had a great moment with this because Keith tossing John Morrison over into the turnbuckle. He comes in with the splash. So much force into that he busted the top turnbuckle off of its hinges, and it just knocks Morrison in the back of the head. And you can see it's like, ooh, wow. On live camera, it's like Keith just exuberant, like, oh, damn. That was fun to see. But yeah, tag team matchup there for Keith and Sheamus as they pick up the victory. And then afterwards, we get I guess they were arguing with each other. They wanted another go around. So Keith and Sheamus went at it after that. Good little matchup right there. Keith picking up the victory over Sheamus in a good little match. T-Bar and Xavier Woods going at it. Yeah, let's just get right to it. Not that much interest into that whole matchup right there. I don't see anything going with that matchup per se. T-Bar picks up the victory. Lashley defending the U.S. title against Riddle one-on-one. And you know what? For the U.S. title, I really feel like this was going to happen. Matt Riddle taking on Lashley for the U.S. title. We knew it was going to get there. And with the previous 2 weeks of attack, Riddle attacking Lashley before the bell, and that didn't end well. It ended well for him. He picks up the victory last week in the same style, being Bobby Lashley and getting the title match. This time around, we get Lashley attacking Riddle before the match officially starts. And it played off very well for Lashley because he picks up the victory with the submission. And he retains the U.S. title. So much that, MVP's thinking, oh, yeah, Riddle's, down for title. We need to teach him a lesson. I'm going to get in there and face off against Matt Riddle. So we had a quick impromptu MVP versus Matt Riddle. And it was, MVP was in street clothes, was in business clothes. It's like, okay, I don't care. We'll go at it now. But unfortunately for MVP, it didn't help because Matt Riddle won via disqualification thanks to Riddle pissing off Lashley during the match. And he gets a spear for his trouble and afterwards gets his butt whipped for the effort. We had another matchup with AJ Styles taking on Drew Gulak, thanks to Adam Pearce making the match. If Drew had won, he would have been entered into the Royal Rumble. It was okay matchup for Drew. Unfortunately, he fell short of his goal, thanks to AJ Styles picking up the victory. Last real match of the night, as we had Nia Jax and Shayna Basler taking on Manueros and Dana Brooke. I kind of get why, to a point, we're seeing a Jax versus Basler tag team matchup for what, like the 3 weeks. Actually, since TLC, we've seen it twice in a row. Granted, last week was Dana versus Shayna, but this week we got another Jax versus Jackson Basler taking on Rose and Dana Brooke. It was not that. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just that we've already seen it. Like we saw it like 2 weeks ago, guys. Can you do something else? I know you got more women on the roster. Put them on the show. I mean, if you're gonna make it, if you're gonna have women's tag team on there, make some tag teams. I keep saying this. You have women on the Raw roster. Put them to work. Don't put them on main event. If you're gonna have a repeat from 2 weeks ago, put that on main event. Flip the script and put Mandy and Dana versus another team that is going to help them get ready for another Nia Jax Shayna Baszler matchup, or to get them ready for a tag team title run. Not another repeat from 2 weeks ago. It's like a recycle, reuse, repeat idea right now. And I'm not liking that. I didn't like it this week. So unfortunately, we kind of suffered in that department. As Jackson Baszler pick up the victory over Manueros and Dana Brooke. So we head into the main event for the night that kind of was really set up at the beginning of the show. Hunter taking on Randy Orton in a one-on-one match. And, well, it was a interesting little street fight that they had. We really didn't get a contest out of this because with everything going in with the Randy Orton, Bliss, and the Fiend stuff going on, it was kind of a surprise to see Triple H, grabbing the sledgehammer, and we see this, the sledge get set on fire, and then we get to see the lights go out. It's like, oh shoot. And Hunter's gone. Sledgehammer is gone. The flaming sledgehammer is gone. And we get Bliss right behind Randy Orton and decides, hey, let's just shoot a fireball right into his eye. Now, yeah, it was kind of comical, just to say the least, but in the aspect of everything going on between Orton, Bliss, The Fiend, it is still very well interesting, very well engaging to see that this is going to be a great rivalry right here. From everything going on from back at WrestleMania, I want to say WrestleMania 32, maybe 33, I want to say. I have to check my resources on that. WrestleMania I think it was 34, maybe. WrestleMania 34. Nope, that was in New Orleans. Sorry, WrestleMania 33. From WrestleMania 33, so 2017, all the way up to now, with everything going on with The Fiend and Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, all that encompassed into what's going on now, I am very intrigued into this rivalry, and it's been one of the best things going on Raw, especially with The Fiend. But I can't wait to see what's going to be happening and coming. Probably something at the Royal Rumble, I would think, to get us ready for something for WrestleMania. I hope it's going to be something good. But that is Raw for the night. Let's head on over. We got 2 more areas to cover. We got NXT next up on the docket. Let's get into the black and gold brand. It talks some NXT. We had the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic kickoff this past week. We had first round matchups with the Grizzled Young Vets taking on Everrise. Great tag team action right there with these two. Grizzled Young Vets picking up the victory, moving on to the quarterfinals, and they will wait the winner for next week. We'll get into that in a little bit. We had Candace LeRae taking on Schatzy Blackheart. That rivalry is still going on between these two from TakeOver War Games, and everything went into that. It was awesome. Candace picks up the victory over Schatzy in a great matchup for the women. Gargano taking on Dexter Loomis. Intrigue match with that one. I like it. It was good. Gargano picks up the victory over Dexter. We had Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve in tag team action taking on a new team entering the NXT world, as it is MSK, Desmond Xavier, and Zachary Wentz. You might know them as the Rascals from Impact Wrestling. They have moved over here to the Black and Gold brand, and surprisingly, they are the mystery tag team that is now in the tag team tournament, as this was a first round tag match or first round tournament match between MSK and Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve Scott. So they win. They move on in the tournament. They will be waiting for their future next round opponents next week. We'll get to that in a little bit, as the brackets were unveiled, and I'll talk about the brackets in a short little bit. We had Xia Li taking on just a jobber female. She handled her quite, just blew her out of the water, destroyed her. And then we had our main event. We had Undisputed Era and Breezango in the last of the first round Dusty Rhodes tournament matchup for the week. Great matchup there. Surprise appearances of Larkin, Birch, and the Prince, Finn Balor. We had, literally, I'm like drawing a blank on my own thought process. Oh, Pete Dunne. That's who it was. I was like, I know I'm forgetting someone. But yeah, Pete Dunne. This match was just crazy on its own. Undisputed Era picks up the victory over the former tag team champions of the world, NXT. They move on into the Dusty Cup, and we have the bracket. So with the first round, it would be Breezango and Undisputed Era. We know that Undisputed Era is moving on. Next, they will meet the winner of Ashante Adonis and Desmond Troy, taking on Avari Davari and Tony Nese from 205 Live. The winner of that match will take on Undisputed Era in the quarterfinals. Kushida and Leon Ruff taking on The Way. Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory will meet Grizzled Young. The winner of that matchup will meet in the quarterfinals to take on Grizzled Young Vets. MSK will meet the winner of Austin Gray and Kurt Stallion versus Drake Maverick and Killian Dane in the quarterfinals. And then we will have a final first round matchups next week, as actually we'll have some more first round matchups next week, as it will be in the next week. Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado of Lucha House Party taking on Imperium. We'll have Kushida and Leon Ruff and Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory going at in a first round action. The bottom half of the bracket, of course, is Lucha House Party and Imperium, and then the Bollywood Boys from 205 Live and Legado del Fantasma. That's a great bracket right there for the men. And we also have found out that the start of the women's side of the world for the tag team tournament for the Dusty Cup is going to kick off next week, as it will be Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter taking on Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez in a first-round matchup. Should be a great women's tag team tournament, as we know that it will be Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter in the tournament. Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez. Schatzy and Ember Moon. That's a tag team right there I want to see. And then Candace and Indy as a tag team for the Way, which is going to be very, very well put on. And we don't even know if that's the full bracket. We just know that we have 4 teams right now in the tournament, which should be awesome. That is for next week. So it's going to be very well heavily tag team tournament related. Let's head on over to AEW to close out the show for the week. Talk about that Dynamite for night 2 of New Year's Smash. Pac taking on Eddie Kingston. Pac picking up the victory in that matchup, which was a great match. Miro taking on Chuck Taylor in one-on-one action. Miro picking up the victory, and because of his victory, Chuck Taylor has to be Miro's butler. Tag team action with Kenny Omega, 6-man tag action with Omega and the Good Brothers of Impact Wrestling, taking on the Varsity Blondes and Danny Limelight. Omega and the Good Brothers picking up the victory in that great matchup. FTR taking on Jurassic Express. Awesome matchup right there between these two tag teams. FTR picks up the victory. NWA Women's title up for grabs as Serena Deb taking on Ty Conte. This was a great matchup, to say the least, between these two women for the NWA Women's title. Fortunately for Tay Conte, she picks up no victory. She loses to Serena Deb as she retains the NWA Women's title. And then main event, we had the TNT title up for grabs as Darby Allin and Brian Cage went at it, and this was a brutal matchup, to say the least. Lot of twists and a lot of great moments with this match. Darby picking up the victory over Brian Cage, the Machine. And man, that was a great new way to end New Year's Smash. We do know some things that are coming up next week, and even something for coming up in the month of February. Next week we know Santana and Ortiz taking on Jericho and MJF, taking on Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager in a triple threat tag team match, if you want to say. But the winner of this will be what they're calling it, the official Inner Circle tag team, to go for the tag team titles, to be recognized as the official tag team of the Inner Circle. We know that's coming up next week. And we know for Beach Break on February 3rd, to kick off the month of February for AEW, we're going to have Thunder Rosa taking on a Britt Baker. Should be a great way to start off the Wednesday off for the month of February for Beach Break. I keep flipping it. But yeah, that's going to be it for the week. Yeah, that's it. I got nothing else left for this in the tank for this show, guys. Yeah, that's it. I thought I had something else, but I guess I don't. So before we head on out for the week, let's get a little house clean done. You should be following us at Flex Network 1 for your football football and fantasy football content on Twitter. You should be following us at FlexNet_PW Elite for your wrestling content on Twitter. Also, you should be liking, subscribing, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We have our own channels for football and wrestling. You should be following us on those. We are everywhere for podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you could think of, for podcasts, we're there. But if we're not somewhere where you listen, let us know. We'll get there. We'll flex on that. I will be back next Wednesday to talk football with everyone on the Flex Network side with Flex Mike. Cowboy Cam is division weekend in the playoffs for football. It should be awesome. Come and check that out next Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific time at night. And then I will be back next week on Thursday also for another edition of the Flex Network Wrestling recap for the week. 6:30 Pacific time at night. But that is going to be it for me, guys. I will talk to you guys later. This has been a great show for you guys to come out and hang out with. I'm going to roll on out here. So, for myself, the SnowMan, this has been another edition of the Wrestling Weekend Review Show here on the Flex Network. And we will see you guys next week. Peace out.
This has been the Pro Wrestling Weekend Review Show.
You got some fellow Canadians.
But when you're from Calgary,
Where's that?
Alberta, Canada,
A one-way first-class ticket to Larryland.
What is it with you folks coming to Florida? Stay in your own country. This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. Right here.
Why me? Why me? Why me?
don't blame Canada, blame yourself.
Feels like showtime every minute to me. I can't help it.
No. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Ta-ta for now.
We're out of time. Good night on Nitro.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Well, you're welcome, Gerard.